Welcome to French. I'm so glad you've decided to choose French, and I might be biased, but I think it's the best language, and according to the Telegraph, they believe that it is one of the easier languages to learn. They've noted that there are 8,000 French words that are derived from English words, and thus it makes the vocabulary more recognizable and easier to comprehend. In fact, they've even mentioned that for conversational purposes, it's the easiest language to pick up. Now, there are other benefits to learning a foreign language that I would like to tell you about, as well as some strategies. The number one benefit you might be thinking about is that you're going to score higher on your standardized tests. This is because that when you're speaking a foreign language, it's going to improve the functionality of your brain by challenging it to recognize and negotiate meaning and communicate in different language systems, thus different language maps, and this skill will boost that ability to negotiate meaning and other problem-solving tasks as well. Thus, as you notice, you're going to be even better at multitasking since you'll have to negotiate meaning as well as conjugate verbs and agree adjectives all at the same time. All this brain muscle building is going to help stave off things like Alzheimer's and dementias, according to science. Thus, it's going to improve your memory, and because you're going to have to be attentive to those small language choices to negotiate the meaning when you're reading or listening, your perception skills are going to be improved. This will help things with perceiving even outside of a foreign language. Similarly, you're going to have to make decisions pretty quickly when you're speaking and writing in a foreign language. Thus, you will improve your decision-making skills outside of a foreign language. But one of the benefits that I don't think most people recognize is that it's going to improve your English skills. There are a lot of grammatical similarities between English and French, especially when you're talking about advanced writing. So I've had more students tell me they've learned more about English in my French class than they had through all of 8th grade English. So I'm hoping you're raising your hand now saying, yes, this sounds great. I would love to do it. But you're probably asking, how do I get there from here? It is a lot of work to learn a foreign language. Technology Education Design has talked to several pretty famous translators, and they have given several bits of advice. They recommend the following. 1, get real. Well, you're already doing that. And what they mean by this is finding attainable goals that you know that you can master. And you're doing this by taking a class where we are going to set those goals for you, knowing that it's possible to obtain them. But this means that we're still expecting you to make a lifestyle change. We want you to be able to speak French every day. We want it to be a habit that you're going to continue even when you're tired or sick or perhaps madly in love. Because learning a foreign language has long-reaching benefits. It's time to invite that foreign language into all aspects of your life. Perhaps you could play house with it, labeling everything in your home with foreign language words. I'm sure your parents would be proud. Also, you could find comic books that you really enjoy in English, seeing if you can find them in the foreign language. There are other comic books out there that perhaps you've never seen because they're originally written in French. Tintin and Asterix and Obelix are great ones. There are free podcasts that you can load onto any device, wherever you get your podcasts, and they're free and they have things like slow news in French or music. Perhaps you're into geopolitics. All of those are wonderful options. And if you already own Netflix, why not use that subscription to look at the French options that they do have? But noting that whereas the United States, violence is totally acceptable, things like nudity and sexual content are forbidden, and it's vice versa in France. You're not going to find very much violence, but they're so-so with the nudity. One of the fun things that I used to do was find something that I already had like on video in English, and then I would just change the settings to French. Thus, I already knew what they were saying, so I just then had to apply what I was hearing to what I knew was going on. And a fun way also is to pretend to narrate your day to somebody that's not there, an imaginary friend, and thus keeping that use of the foreign language throughout your day. You can also keep that use with technology, setting your app on your phone or your computer, the settings to French, or perhaps getting a new app like Duolingo, Anki, or Quizlet, which have lots of flashcards that even tell you what this word's going to sound like. One of my favorite ways to learn a foreign language is to make something like a new experience. Find something that you would already do, and then find a way that you would be able to do it in French. or whatever language you're learning. So for example, I am not a good cook. What would I give to take a cooking class in France where they really know how to cook? Well, I know my husband would probably really enjoy seeing the Tour de France, but one of my favorite ways to learn is by volunteering. I meet so many wonderful people. They're trying to learn English, and I'm willing to help with English as long as I get to use my French every once in a while. A great way is to go to France, and sometimes that's not an option for many of us. So make new friends, maybe via pen pal. There are several apps and websites that are out there where you say to someone that you're a native English speaker and you're wanting to learn French, and then they program in, vice versa. And so you communicate with each other, trying to teach each other those languages. It's a really great way to make friends, as long as you're very careful in noting that this is a social media. So treat it as such. When you volunteer for your English as a second language groups, this is a really nice choice to not just make friends, but also you can put things like this volunteering on your applications for college or beyond, because it shows that you're dedicated. And lastly, I know some of you think that making mistakes is bad, but let me tell you, in a foreign language class, this is actually a good thing. Not to be afraid of mistakes, because if you're afraid you're going to make a mistake, your anxiety levels will be high, and that's going to keep you from learning a little bit. But knowing that when you do make mistakes, your brain's going to process it differently, and you're much less likely to do it in the future. And it'll be easier to recall why that is, because you remember that, oh yeah, I did that, and that's what it sounded like. But I also get to tell you, when I was in France and I would just blurt out whatever, I found that the French people were so kind. They were so excited that I was using the language that it was as if they became my doting parent, and they couldn't wait to help me. And so overall, don't worry about mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. So I hope that alleviated some of your anxiety and that you're feeling less nervous about taking a foreign language. Well, I hope that helped. And if you have questions, feel free to send me an email. Bon après-midi.